Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you might be in this fine world. You're listening to the Startup Selling Show, Talking Sales with Scott Cibucci. That's me. Today's episode is a guest episode, and today's guest is Aaron Krall. Aaron is a friend of mine that I've known for a couple of years. I've gotten to know Aaron through a mutual mastermind group of coaches, experts, consultants, folks that do the kind of work that he and I do every single day. And Aaron's area of expertise is helping SaaS companies drive more leads, convert more users, and accelerate growth. He works with SaaS company founders, both that are just starting out, trying to get to the first 10K in monthly recurring revenue, and also a group that's past that 10K threshold and trying to grow to 100K MRR and more. A lot of the work that he's done is focused on providing done-for-you systems and frameworks that are designed to increase conversions, automate sales, reduce churn. And all of the work that he's done is 100% with SaaS companies. We talk a lot more about his work and his area of focus in just a couple minutes as we get started. He also, most importantly, this is something I think you'll be keen to learn about if you're running a SaaS company at all. Aaron runs the largest SaaS community in the world. It's called SaaS, S-A-A-S, SaaS Growth Hacks, and it's all on Facebook. I'm part of that group. It's a group that I check in probably 2 to 3 times a week at a minimum, because there's so much good content and conversation with SaaS founders, asking questions, getting advice, sharing tools, sharing frameworks, sharing expertise and experience. So definitely, if you are a SaaS founder, if you are early stage SaaS, or even if you've been around for a few years and you just want to be part of a community and get some ideas and share some ideas, definitely go check out SaaS Growth Hacks over on Facebook. Aaron lives over in Salt Lake City with his wife and his son. They have a dog named Penny. He's a really, really good dude. I just love Aaron to death as a human being. He and I first met, like as I said, a couple of months ago, and I was on the SaaS Growth Hacks website, the Facebook group, probably like 10 days ago. And I was watching one of his Facebook lives that he does there. And I was like, I can't believe I haven't asked Aaron to be on the podcast yet. And it just occurred to me, I'm like, I gotta see if he wants to do it. So I sent him a quick note, and within 2 days, we had a time booked. Within a week, just over a week ago that I sent him a note, and here we are doing this interview. So he just hopped on, shared some expertise, and we just rocked and rolled for the last hour. So some of the things to listen for in my conversation with Aaron, we focused on 3 main topics in our conversation. So the first topic that we talked about was the idea of self-serve versus sales. So you've got a product, you've got a SaaS product, and you're trying to figure out, like, can I get this product to self-serve? Meaning people come to my website, they choose their plan, enter their credit card, and they buy without having to talk to a salesperson. So what are the situations? What's the scenarios? What's the type of product that works well with a self-serve system versus the types of products that require a sale or a sales call or a number of sales calls? And throughout the course of our conversation in that part of self-serve versus sale, Aaron used a very simple model of thinking about a continuum of simple products. That doesn't mean cheap, it just means simple, all the way through to more complex sales. So we really broke down with a couple of really specific examples for different products that were everything from micro tools all the way up to Salesforce, as ways to think about examples of simple versus complex, and when you can use self-serve and when you need to have a sales call or a number of sales calls with your prospective customer. So that was the first topic. Second topic we talked about was selling versus marketing. When should you be marketing, and how should you be marketing, and when do you actually need to be selling? And so Aaron shared his perspective on what makes for good marketing and how good marketing almost completely alleviates the need for any kind of selling. And so we dove deep into what makes for good marketing, and he shared a couple of really specific examples of how you can be using some of your experience, some of your product, the way your product is built. We talked about internal versus external realities and how you can use internal realities as part of your marketing funnel. Really, really specific stuff there. So thinking about selling versus marketing. And then the third topic we talked about is what we call key metrics. So I think all of us can relate to the necessity for monitoring and managing a metrics dashboard, right? So anything from things like, page views to trials to conversions. Those are all metrics that we should be looking at. Average revenue per user, churn rate, all of those sort of typical dashboards. in the course of our conversation with Aaron, we dove another level deeper and we said, well, just looking at, say, trials to conversion rates isn't enough. And instead, we need to get even more granular in the metrics that we're tracking every single week, and the importance of looking at these metrics every week and identifying what the impact areas are in the business to make sure that we are optimizing our sales and marketing funnels. So really, really great stuff with Aaron around those three topics: self-serve versus sales, marketing versus selling, and the key metrics. Really excited to have had him on the show if you haven't noticed already. Super good dude, great expertise. And so without any further ado, let's head over to my conversation with Aaron Krall. Hey, Aaron.
Scott, my man, how are you, dude?
Man, it's so good to see you.
Yeah, you too. How you been?
Good. I feel like I just saw you though because of your live sessions on Facebook.
I know. I'm really pumping those up, man. Doing some dirty reps,
That's
trying to knock those out. Yeah.
So you ready to dive right in? Ready to do
Yeah,
this?
dude. Absolutely, totally.
Man, you're chugging the Mountain Dew. I love that.
This is Zevia.
Oh, Zevia. It's the opposite of Mountain Dew.
Yeah, opposite of Mountain Dew. I chug these like crazy because there's like literally nothing in it. It's 0 calories, 0 sugar, but tastes really good.
That's awesome.
So.
Well, I was one of the things I was trying to do is figure out, like, how do I start the conversation, because we talked about the Facebook Lives that you're doing, and that's through the SaaS growth hacks community you're running on Facebook, and then you also run your SaaS accelerator program, and do you also do some consulting as well in addition to the accelerator program? Right?
Yeah, occasional consulting.
Yeah. So maybe I could ask you, when somebody who doesn't know you asks you, what do you do? How do you describe that?
Yeah. So I usually say I'm a hands-on growth consultant for SaaS founders who want to scale quickly.
And when you're using SaaS, there's lots of different definitions on SaaS. It could be B2B, it could be B2C. SaaS could be self-serve products. It could be SaaS could go all the way up into enterprise, where you're selling $1 million platforms. That's technically SaaS. So is there a niche or a target for you that you found that is your sort of area of expertise?
Yeah. So I have a kind of like launchpad program, and it's where we help founders get to 10K MRR. Mm-hmm. And it's a 12-month long ongoing one-on-one help coaching program where they get my help every week. Question answer. They get, foundational systems included in that. And that's for anybody who's under 10K a month, usually for B2B. Mm-hmm. And in the accelerator, I'm a little bit more specific. It's usually B2B founders, B2B or B2C founders who are over 10K a month, who have an ARPU of $100, or who are funded in some way. So have outside funding. So
ARPU, meaning average revenue per user.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the customers. Those are the SaaS that I feel like I can help the most. Founders I can help the most. Usually they have smaller teams too, so like less than 10 people who you really have like a dedicated marketing department who just need to know what to do to grow fast and don't have all the time and expertise to like learn it all. I just come in and plug in all these systems, and we watch them grow.
Cool. And so the companies that are doing under 10K per month, I mean, to your point, sometimes it takes 12 months to get there. So these are companies that are probably selling products for $20 a month, $100 a month. So these are small price tag that over time you want to build up that MRR to get up to 10K. Is that fair?
Yeah. The idea, not everyone's going to be a fit for the accelerator, even those that go through the launchpad. So we'll have people that go through the launchpad that just stay in the launchpad and just love it and don't really need the accelerator because their ARPU is really low, or they just don't need the support. So that's totally fine. But once they get to 10K MRR, usually it means they have traction and they have some type of outside, like it's not just their mom and friends buying their service. So there's like a demand for the product. Usually that means that if they can get to 10K, they can easily get to 50, 100K. And my goal is to just help them get there. So there's some people in the SaaS launchpad that won't be a good fit no matter what, but I still want to help them. So that's what the launchpad is there for.
Got it. And this really gets to the core of why I was really looking forward to the conversation, because I had some some topics that I hope that we could tackle. I wrote down here on my iPad notes that I thought you'd be uniquely positioned to answer. And so I'll just throw out a couple of these topics and you can pick the order.
Yeah.
And if there are any of the topics that I picked, you're like, well, actually, no, that's not me. Let me know.
Okay.
But the three that I wrote down, number one is like, if I'm selling SaaS, one of the big questions that, I mean, I even get this helping teams that are selling enterprise, $1,000 a month, $10,000 a month. Like, how do I get this thing to self-serve? And so the topic I wanted to ask is, when is it okay to think about selling your product as self-serve? Come to the site, here are 3 options, best value, click this, credit card, buy. And when do I need to start thinking about actually selling? Whether that's like a phone call, a demo, even if it's like a 1-call conversion. So I'd be curious to know your experience and give some people some frameworks about self-serve is okay in this case, and in this other case is when you need to actually start selling to people.
Yeah.
Having a conversation. So that's one topic. The second is selling versus marketing. So I see this a lot too, and I'm sure you see it a lot, where you see founders of companies, they're doing lots of marketing of their product, like whether that's organic or paid ads or Facebook or LinkedIn stuff. And they're trying to do a lot of marketing, but the marketing isn't leading to sales. There's like this disconnect between the messaging and whether or not people are actually buying their stuff. So that's the second topic, selling versus marketing. And then the third topic would be around key metrics. So some of the stuff I read about you is this key metrics dashboard. And as a founder, like, what do I really need to be paying attention to make sure I'm moving in the right direction? So those are kind of the big 3 that I wrote down. Is there any of those that are most appealing for you to start with?
Man, I love all of those.
Okay, cool.
All of those make all those.
I did my homework. I was like, I got to impress Aaron because I asked him to come on the show and he said yes.
Yeah, dude. These all give me goosebumps. I just love talking about these. So let's just start with how to do self-serve, or how to get it to a self-serve.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe what's the tipping point where self-serve isn't enough and you have to actually do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a good question. And I get asked that quite a bit. I actually have clients right now that are trying to move from a enterprise level, like a sales team. And that's not even like enterprise level. It's really not that expensive of a product, but they're trying to do self-serve.
What do you consider not expensive?
This is like $50 a month.
Okay.
Like maximum $100 a month. But the problem is it's such a, so I look at it like this. On the left-hand side, you have super, super simple, like plug in, put in your, like I have a tool right now called Designer that I'm using a lot of. And I plug in the blog article or whatever, the video, and it turns it into a PDF that I can share as a lead magnet. I mean, that's pretty dang simple. So, and if I'm, and then all the way on the right-hand side is something like Salesforce.
Okay.
It's like totally complex. Salesforce isn't the most expensive software in the world, but I mean, I think it's around $30K a year or 30 to 50K a year for like one of their better plans, right? So that's a lot more complex, and they're serving more complex needs. So what I look at is, over on the left, we have really, really simple. And then over on the right, we have really, really complex. And my experience has been the more complex the tool is, the more pains that it solves, the harder it is to do a self-serve onboarding process. I buy stuff just to go through the onboarding process. I don't even want to buy it. I don't even need the stuff, but I go through it for the onboarding just to see how they're doing it. And I'll give you an example. So ClickFunnels, you may or may not be a fan of Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels, and I get it. He's got a unique personality. It's really internet markety, really kind of salesy, kind of pushy, but you can't argue he's at the fastest growing he's got the fastest growing non-funded SaaS company in the world. Okay, so he's obviously doing something right, but he has a lot of products that all solve a very specific problem. Except for ClickFunnels. ClickFunnels is a little bit more complex because you can do affiliate programs and lead, and it kind of takes the place of ActiveCampaign in a way. You can track affiliates, stuff like that. So, but having said that, he treats them as different products. ClickFunnels is the landing page builder. Backpack is the affiliate program tool. So you can have a really complex product that's broken up into multiple products. Sujan Patel, I just had an interview with him. I'm writing a book right now called The Disaster Plan, Disaster Plan.
I like it.
And it's what founders would do in 90 days if they lost everything but their product. How would they rebuild their product if they just had 90 days to start getting revenue and clients, customers? Nobody knew who they were. Nobody knew who the product was. And what he suggested is doing micro tools. Micro tools are branches of the bigger tool and separating them out into separate tools. And then charging and using some of them as a lead offer and some of them as an actual product. That's actually, he ran Digital Marketer. And that's actually how he came up with Mailshake, is because it's a long story, but he branched off one of the products that was doing really well and just got rid of all the fluff and turned it into something really specific. But my point is that on the left-hand side, you have these really simple products that deliver one specific outcome. And simple doesn't mean cheap. So you could have, another example, and Russell Brunson is so good at doing this. He has a product that's $797 for the year. It's called Funnel Scripts. And so what is that? $797 for the year.
797?
Yeah, it's $66 a month. $797 divided by 12, it's about $66 a month. But he doesn't even offer the monthly. He only offers the yearly. And it's very specific. It solves one specific problem of writing copy. And you can't even buy the product without going through his webinar explaining the product. There's no links anywhere that I could find to just buy the product without going through that webinar system. And the reason that he's done that is because he does all of the marketing on the front end. And so by the time that you've seen that webinar, you're educated enough to know that $797 is way valuable. Like he's pre-framed the product in a way that shows you that $797 is nothing compared to what you would waste or spend to do with the product and get done, right? So, and there's no onboarding. I mean, there's a heavy onboarding process in there, but you're already sold on the product once you get in, and because it accomplishes a specific goal that you have, you're already motivated enough to figure it out, the tool, because you know what it can achieve, right? You know the outcome that it can get. So you're much more likely to go through the onboarding process and don't need a hands-on salesperson to walk you through it. On the other end, something like Salesforce, it does so many different things, and there's so many different complex problems that it solves. Like Salesforce is a CRM, and it's an email management, and it's got this and it's got that. And so as a business owner, it's hard for me to know if that tool is going to solve all of my problems unless I have somebody that I can talk to because it's a pretty big investment. $50K a year is pretty big investment for me just to go in and buy without talking to anyone, because it solves many, many, many different problems, and it's different problems for different people. So part of it is, on the left-hand side, you have, is your product simple and is it focused on delivering one specific outcome? And focusing on not even one specific market. When you talk about focusing on a niche, it doesn't even have to focus on a specific niche or industry. What is the common outcome that people want? And you usually, the more simple it is and the more common the outcome is, or more specific what the outcome is, less hands-on that you're going to need. The more complex needs that you have, and the more complex the tool is, the more problems it solves, the more it has, the more hands-on you're gonna need. And so with what I like about ClickFunnels is that there's a $97 a month plan, and then there's a $300 a month plan. Now, most people are not going to just go in and pay $300 for a tool they haven't used yet. So what he did, which is really smart, was he created ClickFunnels as a separate product that's lower barrier to entry, so you can get hooked on ClickFunnels. And then once you get hooked on that, then he's introduced all these other features. His whole thing is the funnels, right? Funnels, get them in $97 a month. Once they get hooked and see how easy it is to use ClickFunnels, then they're going to move on to the next product. Now, that's one way to get around selling a really complex product. Because if Salesforce had like, let's just buy the CRM. HubSpot is another great example of this. You go in and you use HubSpot CRM for free, and you don't have to talk to anyone about it. You get kind of ingrained in HubSpot. My guess is that HubSpot does less demos because of that than a company like Salesforce, who doesn't have like a lower barrier to entry kind of entry point. And HubSpot is also really good at the front end marketing, so people kind of know what it is and what the tool can do before they don't even really talk to anyone. But that's a way to kind of get around having to talk to a salesperson, is get them in using a micro tool, break off one of your products and turn it into a micro tool that's either less expensive or free, get them ingrained in that. And then that way, as they're using the tool, they're constantly logging in, right? You can educate them about what else is available in the tool as they're using the tool. With in-app messages, you can do like little webinars, little like classes, you can do in-app messages and emails, introducing like new parts of the tool that they don't have access to. And all of that, keep in mind, that's still a lot of work. It's still a lot of work to do that, but the work is done all at the beginning at the front end, instead of having to do it, one-on-one sales calls every week. So you pile in all of the stuff at the front, and then you create all the content and the funnel and the path that somebody's going to go down, and then you kind of lead them down and educate them on what the tool can do, or whatever your tool is capable of, to get them into a higher package. Now, you might still need to do hands-on, because depends on the customer. Lincoln Murphy talks about the desired, what does he say? It's a desired outcome or ideal.
I know the phrase you're talking about. I know Lincoln's work. It's very good.
Ideal path or something. And it's like, what is the ideal path that a customer needs to go down for them to start using the product? And if your customer, like, let's say your customer is like an older generation, and you're solving a problem for an older generation or somebody that is not tech savvy, like, you might have to do a one-on-one demo no matter what. Like, and if that's the case, then you either need to rethink who your target market is. If you don't want to do one-on-one demos or hands-on kind of sales process, either rethink your market or simplify your tool so that it's so easy, anybody could sign up for it. So
Lincoln, I just looked it up while you were sharing that last bit. It's the desired outcome.
Yeah, desired outcome.
Yeah. Yes. What's the desired outcome of the customer?
Yeah. And there's another one called ideal experience, I think is what it's called. It's the path getting to the desired outcome. Is the experience getting to the desired outcome how they expected it to be? He uses the analogy, I could get to Hawaii on a Cessna with animals, or I could get to Hawaii on a first-class flight with American Airlines, right? The experience of getting to the destination is going to be much different, even though I'm going to get to the same place. And your experience customer's experience might be terrible, but they still get to the desired outcome. And that's what causes churn, and what causes unhappy experiences. It's what causes growth plateaus. But if you give the right customer experience that matches the customer's expectations, then they still get the desired outcome, but their ideal experience is what they need in order to get to that outcome.
Got it. And I want to touch on churn in a little while. I didn't mention that as one of my topics, but if we can get to it, that'd be great. There's a lot of concepts that you shared there that I want to try to unpack a little bit more. So starting with the Russell Brunson package that you said is only available if you watch the webinar. What was that one called?
The product is called Funnel Scripts.
Funnel Scripts. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about that, this idea is purely self-serve. Number one, he already knows what the customer's desired outcome is.
Yep.
He's super clear about that. Number two is, you mentioned something that's also really important, which is the amount of education that goes into we'll call it the marketing side of the sale, helping a lot of people. Maybe they might not even be problem aware. So he's got to sort of go from problem unaware to problem aware to then solution aware. And he's probably doing all of that in the front end marketing. So by the time you get to the webinar, like you said, you're already sort of indoctrinated in this, I've got this problem, it's costing me a lot, $697 or whatever it costs to solve it is a marginal cost relative to expense I'm incurring by solving this problem on my own. And he's probably also doing a lot of the onboarding as part of the sales process. So by the time you buy, you already know how the thing works.
Yep.
And you can get to it. And it's like you said, it's a micro tool. It's really simple. It does one thing. And I can get off and running and start using this thing probably within the first day or the first hour.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right, folks, we are off and running in my conversation with Aaron Krall. One of the things that he and I have been talking about in our conversation today is the importance of really understanding your customer and your customer's problem, and how that really is a Kickstarter to every other part of your sales process. And speaking of sales process, if you're looking for some help, and if you want to get a really clear framework that you can use to build your company's sales process, then I absolutely suggest grabbing a copy of my latest book, Stop Hustling, Start Scaling. The subtitle of that book is called It is Ramp Up Your B2B Startups Repeatable Revenue with the Q Framework. The Q Framework is a framework that I developed over the course of 20 plus years of selling. And I've basically pulled that framework together, thinking about 7 basic questions that you need to be able to ask and answer for your customers and for yourself in order to build that first version of your repeatable sales process. And the very first question in that Q framework is, what problem are you solving? So I think it's very relevant to think about our conversation today with Aaron and making sure you're really clear on the problem that you're solving, who your customers are and what they need. And that's the very first place to start with any sales process. So if you want some more help with building out your sales process, make sure you download a copy of that book, Stop Hustling, Start Scaling. The way to do that is head over to my company website, Qualia, Qualia.com. Right there on the homepage, click a button and you can enter your email address and we will send you a full and complete copy of the book via PDF. It's a PDF version of the book. Definitely check out a copy. Make sure you get one for yourself. And then we'll also add you to our email list, our marketing list, where we're sharing frameworks, playbooks, live webinars that I'm running every single month, live trainings that we're doing, really kind of keeping you in the loop and of the latest and greatest in what we're doing as we're implementing with our clients every single day. So that's it for now. Let's head back over to my conversation with Aaron Krall. The second thing you mentioned about his other product, so he's got ClickFunnels, which is a separate product that's $97 and then $300. It's the same thing, right? You're getting them indoctrinated and getting them some success with the $97 product. And only after they have some success will they then realize the additional gap that exists by not having the $300 product. So all of the work, like you said, there's no difference in the amount of work. It's just he's done a really good job of front loading the work and almost putting the work onto the customer to do the learning. But frankly, like, let's face it, he's done a ton of work to get there. Like, if you probably add up the hours or effort that it took to build that whole front of funnel to get customers to the point where they're happy to just plop down a credit card, it's probably the same as if I was logging demos and picking up the phone and calling people one off at a time. If you did like accounting, if you could do time accounting, it's probably about the same in the short run. Now, over time, it probably wins out in the long run. Yeah. But in the short run, if I'm trying to spin up and get to my first 10K in revenue or my first $100,000 a month in revenue, my first $1 million ARR, it's probably about the same amount of time and effort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, yes. You said something else really interesting. It reminded me as you were talking, Aaron, about when I was at Altos Research. So we had the SaaS equivalent of what we call a SaaS product, $79 a month. We had a $79 a month and a $149 a month program. And so it's like roughly $900 a year for the $79 a month. And so we had 2 ways you could buy. One is you could self-serve, go to the website, click, put in your credit card, buy the thing. The second is you fill out a form, get a demo, we call you up, do a short demo, and it's basically a one-call conversion. So it's pretty quick. Sometimes we have to call them back and to think about it type of thing. We're selling to real estate agents. So for them, $80 a month is kind of like a big expense. So what we discovered is that it didn't matter if we were doing the call to do the conversion or they were self-serving, we still had to sell them, meaning that the self-subscriptions actually had a higher churn in the short run. Mm-hmm. So we had people that are willing to throw in their credit card and check it out. And when we saw that, we were excited because we got like free money, Bluebird, but we still had to basically call them and run the sale, even though we had already received their money. Does that make sense? You're sort of like smiling and laughing.
Yeah, that happens all the time. I see that all the time.
Because people are like, oh, this thing looks like it can solve my problem. But if it's not what they think it is, or they're just not solving how to implement it correctly, you still got that work. And we didn't have any of the front end stuff that you just described with Russell.
Yeah.
People would find us through like a blog post or SEO or something like that.
Yeah. And that's where like really good onboarding comes in too, as a part of it. Like, or I see the biggest mistake is founders thinking that all of the value, all of the good stuff needs to be hidden in the onboarding process.
Tell me more about that.
Like when you see tools, it's kind of like there's this curtain over the tool and you can't really see inside it, but it just tells you what it can do. And years ago, you could get away with that because there wasn't as many tools trying to solve the same problem. But and Russell Brunson, again, is a really good example of this. HubSpot is a good example of this. There's a few other tools that are really good about taking the curtain off and letting people actually see without going in what the tool is going to be like. And I'm talking about like a pre-recorded demo or a webinar that shows, there's a few companies that grew really, really fast doing webinars. And they just kind of took the curtain off the tool and they said, here's what you're going to be able to do. Here's what it looks like. And so people get familiar with it. And then when they log in, they already know, you said this earlier, like they already know what they need to do in the product once they log in because they've already seen it. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they have to relearn or learn how to use the tool. They already have seen the outcome. And so they're much more inclined to, because they've seen the outcome that it can deliver, their motivation level is much higher than it is if I just signed up for a product to say, hey, we can make your real estate. I don't know what it is, the product that you did. I don't know what problem it solved, but like we can run your real estate business. And they're like, great, I need that. They log in and then there's just like overwhelming. They have no idea where to start. Too many things. They realize there's more work than they thought they had to do. They don't know all the features and they get overwhelmed. And then that motivation goes all the way down. They're thinking, why am I paying $80 for something I don't even know how to use? Right. As opposed to, like, I'm just throwing out an example. Like we put your logo on your real estate videos. That's our product. Log in, put up your video, put your logo on. That's it. Like they get that, right? If they understand the outcome really quickly and they know what the product does, there's really no need to do. And if it solves a meaningful problem for them, then you don't have to have a really complex or detailed onboarding process. But the more complex it is, the more you should get the customer excited about the outcome and show them, as opposed to, as soon as I log in, now is my job to educate the customer on all the stuff they can do in the product, because by that time, it's a different experience, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So if I showed you a demo and said, hey, I have a problem here's a problem I can solve for you. Here's all the things it can do. Here's the outcomes. Would you like to try it out? Yeah, sure. I'll go in and I can see, I know he did this, so I want to try to figure this out. And I know he did this, so where's that in the menu? What if I just say, hey, here's a tool that'll do all this stuff for you. You want to sign up? money back guarantee. You're going to love it. I'll reduce all the risk, 7-day free trial. Then when I log in, then I have to, and when I get into the tool, you've made all these promises now that you have to fulfill on that I don't know that you can fulfill on. And so now I have to fulfill the promise in my eyes. And if I can't do it, then you haven't fulfilled on your promise and you created more work for me. See what I mean?
It's like scary what you just did in my brain, because you just described exactly all the stuff we were doing wrong at Altos. So what would happen is they would come in, they would kind of see what we did on the website. Like we have these live charts that you put on your website that show real-time data. Real estate agents thought that's really cool. We have these market reports that you can use for your listing presentations or for your buyer tours, stuff like that. We had this email system where you could, send out the reports every week. So people kind of had a sense, okay, it's like this marketing tool that uses market data as leverage in conversations. And so we do this even on the demo. They'd sign up for more information. We'd do a quick demo. We'd show them a couple other agents that are using it, show them a market report for their area. And they're like, okay, this is cool. I want to use this. And that's how we can get to a one-call conversion. Here's my credit card, 4266, blah, blah, blah. But what we ran into, we'd sign people up, we'd give them the login, and a week would go by and they wouldn't log in a second time. We were like, well, what's so hard about this? Because all they had to, like in my head, like air quotes, all they had to do was like upload their logo. All they had to do was take their email list and upload it to our system. All they had to do was take the code from the Altos charts and send it to the webmaster. It's like 3 easy things: logo, email addresses, code. How hard is that? Well, it turns out for real estate agents, you might as well have been asking them to do brain surgery in most cases. because they're just not techie people. That's not why they got into real estate.
Yeah.
Some of them are techie, like they do blogging and stuff. So what we had to do, we had to install basically a person. We built a customer success team to solve that problem, which is after the sale was converted, we'd say, great, now we're going to have Jessica help you with your logo. Jessica's going to help you with getting your emails loaded in. Jessica's going to help you get in touch with your webmaster. So we had to backload all of that work to take the friction away. So we actually made it on the front end when we were showing the demo, and people were like, oh, this is great. This is awesome. But on the back end, it turned out it was really hard for them. It wasn't hard technically, but it was hard for them. And even if they could do it, there's like, it's an hour of their time. And if you're a real estate agent, an hour's a lot. Then what else could I be doing with that hour? I could be making phone calls. I could be showing a property. I could be going to a listing presentation. So we had to solve that with manual process. And going all the way back to our question of self-serve versus sale, like the lesson that I'm getting from this part of our conversation is you need to know what problem you're solving. You need to be super freaking clear how your product solves that problem, and be 100% transparent on how this thing works.
Yeah.
And I think that's the scary part. Most people don't even know how to talk to their own customers. They don't really know, like this case of funnel scripts. Like Russell knows this is the buyer, this is the problem, this is how I'm going to talk to it. Most companies out there, they got this product, they think they know what the problem is, but they misfire on how they're messaging, what problem they're solving, who it's for. And so they throw a bunch of stuff out there and none of it really hits. And they wonder why the self-serve doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. We have a client, right? I have a client like that right now, who same thing. It's a document creator, really great tool, but it solves so many problems. And there's some people who log in and just get it. And there's some that log in and never understand the tool. But it really depends on the emotional temperature of the pain that someone's experiencing. Like if my emotional temperature is really, really high, I'm much more motivated to see if your product's going to solve my problem. But just like a temperature gauge, like that temperature goes down over time. And so tomorrow my pain not be as high, or my pain of learning the tool might be higher than it was of the pain that I had. And so now I have to figure out what am I going to do next? Am I going to keep looking for another tool, another solution, or do I keep trying to figure out this tool? But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of little, when I look at a SaaS product, we look at what are the levers that we can move up and down on the SaaS to see what has the biggest impact. And we move one lever at a time. And sometimes that's increasing the front end education. Sometimes it's going into the onboarding and making it easy for them to get their desired outcome. Sometimes it's having a weekly onboarding call where you hop on and we'll show you how to use the tools. So you scale your onboarding resources. You do one-on-one onboarding. There's just different levers that we move up and down to kind of see how we can fix that specific problem.
Well, this is awesome. I love this. So then if we talked a little bit about you talked a lot about self-serve versus sale. The other two topics I had was selling versus marketing, and also key metrics dashboard.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to talk about?
So selling versus marketing. So I have a unique perspective of what is considered good marketing.
Great. I'd love to hear it.
And sales. Yeah. I think there's a huge missed opportunity in the SaaS world of doing much better marketing. So marketing, in my opinion, should do all of the selling on the front end. The selling portion of it should really be, here's the offer. Do you want it or not? There's no addressing some objections. Again, I'm going to use Russell Brunson because he's so good at this. And you don't have to agree with me, and you don't have to like Russell Brunson, and you don't even have to do the same things that he does. But his process is he's teaching people, I guess you could use the word indoctrinating them to why they need the tool that he's built. And that's what really good marketing does, is it addresses the objections beforehand. It raises the buying criteria for the user. For instance, I might think all CRMs are the same, or I might think all booking tools are the same. But in my marketing, I point out, here's why this specific feature is important to you and why you need to look for it in your next booking tool. And here's the difference it's going to make if you have it. And here's our tool does it. Versus, I see this all the time, marketing, which is save time booking. It's like the same message over and over and over again. Like it's the promise, right? But there's so many different ways to to market your tool, and there's so many different levels to market it at. So you mentioned product, solution, most aware, like your customers are going to be at different awareness levels, but really in reality, especially when you're in a really competitive market, there are two ways to make the sale easier. One is Russell Brunson's thing, which is just stack up as much stuff as possible, give as much increase of value by just stacking more and more stuff. And, what cheat sheets and books and content and this and that. The other way is to indoctrinate your customers on why your product is the best and what they need to look for. And the way that I look at that is in your marketing, let's say you are selling a booking tool, for instance. So, and you know that your market needs these specific things in order to be successful with their booking tool, like SMS, text message,
and by booking, notifications, like a calendar app,
like a calendar app, exactly. Yeah, and so in that case, like when customers are product aware and they know they need a product, the product that you provide, these are like lower hanging fruits. What they really want to do is they don't want more promises. They want to know they're making the best decision for them. And they don't want to make a mistake. People hate making mistakes and spending time making the wrong decision. It hurts your ego. It hurts there's so many like psychological things about making the wrong decision. So what you want to do is in marketing is help people make the right decision for them. And that's where a lot of people fail, is not kind of like explaining and raising the buying criteria. So in marketing, why not have a series of articles? And some SaaS do this, but they don't do it as well as I think they should do it. Why don't you have a series of articles talking about, 7 things to look for on your next booking tool, 6 mistakes people make when scheduling calendar links, or, like just educating people on what they need to look for in the tool, look for in the type of tool they're looking to buy, get them in the decision-making process. And then in that like article or white paper or whatever, you can easily have a checklist. Like, these are the things you need to look for. Does your next booking tool does it hit all of these points? Educate them on why it's important for them to have these specific tools and what's going to happen if they don't have them. By the time you're done reading this, the idea is that you would be crazy not to choose anyone else because of all of the points. You've raised the buying criteria. So now it's not like every booking tool is the same. It's, does my booking tool have SMS text reminders? Because I know how important that is. Like it increases your show up rate by like 50%. So now any booking tool that doesn't have that, I've automatically said, I'm not going to go with any booking tool that doesn't have the feature that I need, which now I know that I need because you explained it to me, right? So that's a huge part of marketing, is doing all the heavy lifting. By the time, if marketing is done right, the only reason they should go to your website is to buy, not do a bunch of learning. And, you don't have to hop on a sales call. I know people that sell $3,000 products. $5,000 products.
Per month. These are MRR.
This would be ARR. 5,000 ARR without getting on a phone call, without doing any type of like one-on-one sales presentation. It's like all they do is they because of the marketing, they go, yep, I want this tool, and they just go and buy it. And there's really not a lot of sales there's no sales trickery. It's just like, I know what I want, you solve the problem that I want, and now what's the price? Let's just get it done. So
how do you, like, if I'm listening to this, I'm going, okay, that sounds good. I want to set the buying criteria. I want to educate and help people understand why they would need an SMS text feature, right? But I could see an argument where you say, well, geez, if I'm the one providing the checklist, isn't the buyer going to know that I'm being biased? Like the 7 items I have on my checklist, of course, I'm going to have those 7 be the only 7 that I can provide, and show that the other ones in the market can only do these 5 or these 4 or these 6.
Yeah.
So how do you battle through that?
Yeah. So we have a process that we use called the hot button library, and it has a few questions. One is, what do your customers need to know to make the best decision possible for them? The next question is, what do you provide in your tool that solves your customers' biggest problems? And so if there's a mismatch if, for instance, in order for your customer to make the best decision possible, they need to know what SMS text, and you don't provide SMS text, that's an opportunity for innovation. And so you can't just make up, if your tool is no good, there's no amount of marketing or selling. If it's not innovative, there's nothing you really, I mean, you can cover it up, you can put lipstick on a pig all day long, but when they get in there, they're going to realize it's just trash. So if you've got an innovative product or a product that you know is really good, that does have the tools and features that your customers need to have success, then you just need to educate them on what those are. There's 90% of the time, there's a complete difference in our external reality versus our internal reality. So our internal reality is we have a team of 60 developers in the back end working nonstop on this tool to make it as fluid as possible. And we're adding new features all the time. We keep it simple. The external reality is this is just another booking tool, just like Calendly, just like, Acuity. Like, I don't know the difference between the two. So your job is to get your internal reality into your external, turn it into your external reality. Like, well, how great of an article would it be? It says why we hire 60 developers, why we have 60 developers working full time for one app, for our calendar app, right? So like, that's actually a really good piece of content. Like
that's really interesting. I would want to read that. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. And so if you don't have that, if you're like, we were really bootstrapped and we have a part-time developer, that's not something that you want to focus on. And it's something that you'd really have to consider when you're marketing your tool. But think about the things that make you really unique that your customers don't know about, that if they knew it, they would think, wow, that is the kind of company that I want to work with. Another example is, like a lot of people hear like 24/7 customer service, right? Your internal reality is, for your company, let's say, is you have 7 English speakers on call 24/7 who've been trained in your product who can actually provide customer support, right? That's what 24/7 support means to you. 24/7 support for somebody else, and I'm going to pick on ClickFunnels again because their support is the worst, absolute worst customer service. I mean, just it's terrible. They might have 24/7 support, but it's just a bunch of people that really don't know the tool. They're doing it, they're like doing it for Russell Brunson bucks or whatever. I don't know how the system works, but there's a lot of people who you call and say, I have a problem. Can you help me? And they go, yeah, we'll submit this to the support team when they get in tomorrow. That's what they consider to be 24/7 service, right? So if you said, why we hire 17 English speakers for customer support and why it matters to you, that's another thing where you're putting your internal reality, you're putting that externally. And all that is such good content for customers. It's good content to attract customers. It's good content for your blog, for videos, all that stuff. And it is product focused, which meaning like it's not going to work for someone who has no idea what tool you have and why they need it, right? But it's really good for people who are in the decision-making process so that you indoctrinate them and put your internal reality on your external reality.
Yeah, well, I like that. I like that idea of indoctrination because like we talk about this with our clients when you've got people that are problem unaware or they sort of like group. You hear this a lot right now with like any buzzword like AI or big data. Like the customer, the only thing they might know about AI and big data is like the IBM commercial that they've seen on TV, right? So as soon as they hear you're like AI, big data, they just kind of throw you in this pile of all of the tech.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
And so now you're like battling. Well, Oracle has this thing, and Fiserv has that thing, and what's different about you? So we talk about the importance of educating first. You have to educate the difference between what does the customer need.
Mm-hmm.
And then separate what you're doing versus the other people. It's like a 2-step process. You got to educate them on the problem and then separate how you're solving the problem relative to the rest of the field.
Yeah,
if you do those 2 things, then you can indoctrinate them.
Yeah, exactly. No one cares about your $7 billion AI product. What they care about is, can you solve my problem? I don't care if it's like a bunch of like, if there's a team of people that you have somewhere who's doing all this, doing all it manually, like typing out each query. And I don't care if it's that or AI. All I want to do is solve my problem, right?
Right.
So
Right.
coming at it like we have AI. I see this all the time, like the AI powered this and the big data powered that. And people look at that and they go, unless they've researched AI and big data, unless they're like super, super aware of what that really means, nobody else is going to really care. All they care about is, can you solve my problem? Like, and can you do it in a way that's like economical for me? Or can you do it in a way that makes my life easier? If AI is the way that you did it, I mean, that's great. Cool. But I don't really care.
The input,
I mean, there's some people that will
the
care,
output.
but yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that's really helpful. And I love this idea of internal versus external reality and turning the internal reality into, it's almost like transparency. You're like ripping the cover off on why and how we do things.
Yeah.
And that's actually the difference between what we do and what the competitors do. Like how we think about the problem and why we've spun up 60 engineers to work on one calendar app. You'd think it'd be so easy, but it's not. That's why we're doing this in the first place, because the other 15 calendar apps don't solve the problem.
Exactly, right? Because you built your app in a lot of cases, unless you're something totally innovative, you built your app to fill a gap in the market. And so really focus on that gap, man. Like, how do you fix that gap, and why, and what does it mean to the customer, and how do you do it specifically? How do you build proof around it? We call it case building proof. Like if you say you have 60 developers, take a picture of your office with all 60 developers like waving, it's like, we're working for you. Like that's pretty, I mean, that sounds silly, right? But no one's doing that. Like no one is actually showing inside their company. Maybe some people are, right? But we all feel like we have to present this, like, we all feel like we have to copy each other. Whatever, what one company's doing, we need to do that exact same thing because they must know what they're doing, right? Because they have millions of dollars investment. How many companies right now are going bankrupt who've had billions of dollars in investment during COVID? Like, it's amazing. Right. Like, I don't know, I love Richard Branson, but I think he's filing for bankruptcy, and Elon Musk is asking for money too. Like, but there are a lot of companies who are doing really, really well because they figured that out. And so, anyways, just don't copy someone because they have a lot of money. That's what I guess I'm trying to say. Like, use common sense.
Yeah, that's why the same email sequences have been floating around for the last 10 years. About getting, eaten by a hippopotamus, and let me know and I'll call 911.
Yeah.
We're just copying that. Yeah, you're laughing because we've all seen it, right?
I've seen that. I've used it. I've used something like that before when we were starting out. But yeah, you're right.
Okay, cool. So we did self-serve versus selling versus marketing. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about the key metrics dashboard. So if I'm a SaaS founder, SaaS company, how do you think about metrics?
So I look at when people say, like, what are my key metrics? Usually they're talking about like really high level stuff, like what are my conversions, what is ARPU, what is CAC, what is my ARR, what are my conversion rates. When I look at and you should be tracking those metrics that matter to you most to determine how your company's doing. And that's kind of a silly answer to that question. You just need to like look at, is revenue growing? Are you making more money than you're investing? You're putting into the company? Like, that's really like the main thing. If you're not making money, you don't see an ROI for every $1 or $5 you invest or spend. If you're not making an ROI on that, then something's wrong. But even if that's true, even if you are getting an ROI, even if your company is growing, where are things broken? Because there's always something that's going to be broken that can be improved upon. So what we do is we break out SaaS growth into a number of impact areas. And so let's say conversions from trial to paid, right? That's a big one that people look at, conversion trial to paid. But inside that metric, there's a ton of mini metrics that you need to be tracking. The full metric doesn't tell you the whole story. So we'll look at what is your homepage to trial sign up? What is your blog to trial sign up? Where is other traffic coming from on your blog? And then we break it down that way. So from homepage to trial, from blog to trial, and then from trial to activation. How many customers get activated in the product or actually start using the product? And then from activation then to conversion. So that path is a path that you want to look at to see if anything's wrong. Like if your blog if your homepage convert, this happens all the time. Like we'll look at our conversion rate is like 5% traffic to trial, right? Like, well, that's great, but like, where's the traffic coming from, and where are they landing on the site, and what can we do to improve that? So we'll look at the traffic, and it turns out like the homepage is like 50%, the blog is like 0.2% or something. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, duh, the blog is where you should be spending your time optimizing now, because you're wasting, it should be much higher than that, right? But if you had your metrics dashboard and you just looked at trial to paid conversions, you wouldn't be able to know that. So we break it out in like impact areas. Like, what is blog to traffic trial, Facebook ad to lead to trial. And you have like these mini, what I call metrics dashboards. And they're really simple. They're just like, it's just an Excel sheet with the key metrics that you need to be looking at. And the goal of that is, and what we do is we set apart like 1 hour a week where you just look at each of the dashboards quickly. Somebody's responsible for those numbers. You have someone on your team that fills in those numbers from the analytics, from Bear Metrics, from Kiss Metrics, from Hotjar, whatever. They fill in the numbers, and all you need to do is look at the numbers, and you can immediately see month over month, because you're going to be aggregating the month over month. You can say, oh, there's a dip right here in the blog to trial conversions. It used to be 5%, now it's 2%. That's the area we need to focus on right now. Like that's what we need to work on. And so that's the goal for the next 60 days or 30 days, whatever, is figure out what got broken. And then you can dig deeper. Like you can dig into, all right, how many blogs are you posting per week? And did we have a decrease in blog posts? Was it an increase in blog posts? Was the content not right? Is one of our forms broken, right? Like those are like the little things that, the little like nuts and bolts of your growth engine, that if you're not tracking those things, it's really hard for you to know what's not working and what is working. So you usually have a specific amount of impact areas. Like another one would be outbound, right? How many contacts did you contact this month? How many discovery calls did you have? And how many strategy calls and how many conversions? And if your discovery to strategy is like really, really low or lower than usual, then you, in your meeting or whatever, what I call an impact area meeting, you have the people that are in that call that are responsible for that metric, and you say, what's happening with that metric? Figure it out. Figure out what's happening. Mm-hmm. And if it's just you put in your to-do list, check, go through this part of the funnel to make sure it's working okay. See if something's broken. If you're not doing that, if you're just looking at the top level metrics, there's no way you're going to be able to have time or energy or resources to really figure all that stuff out. But having impact areas that you look at that are key areas of your business, that could be affiliates, ads, organic traffic, trial to paid, traffic to trial, whatever. And you have like maybe 7 or 8. You just review them real quick every week. You can spot these inconsistencies and problems, and then it's either assign them to your team or get them fixed yourself.
Yeah, so I like this idea of ripping the cover off of the machine to get into it, because like as you were talking about the say 50% conversion rate on the homepage but 0.2% on the blog, what if it was the other way? Or what if you found, for example, people that are reading your blog and then sign up for the trial actually convert at a higher rate? Because maybe that goes back to what you and I were talking about earlier with Russell Brunson. They're reading about the problem. They're reading about the product. They're self-educating before they sign up for the trial.
Yeah.
As opposed to somebody who may have just done an SEO search. You showed up on the first page, they went to your page, they go, oh, free trial, sign up, without really understanding what it is that they're signing up for. So you could get a bunch of free trials from the homepage, but if the conversion on the back end is crap, then they're better off just driving people to the blog, and almost like Russell does, forcing them to watch the webinar.
Yeah.
You could create some kind of funnel, using that word, some kind of path that forces them maybe to watch a short video or read a blog post or two before they're allowed to sign up for the free trial. Or between the free trial and activation.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we signed up for a free trial. We're going to send you the link in 5 minutes. In the meantime, watch this video. Something basic.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly right. You make it, can I talk about that for just 1 second? Because you bring up like a really good point. We have a client who actually wanted more one-on-one demos, because they just know that usually when you're under a specific MRR, it makes sense to do demos on a regular basis to kind of identify what's working so you can scale what's working. And they wanted one more one-on-one demos. And what they had was, when they sign up, they drop them right into the dashboard, and then a little message pops up that says, "Hey, can we hop on a chat with you and tell you more about the product?" And then there's an email that went out that said, "Hey, would you like to hop on the call with one of our salespeople?" Da, 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 da. And their take rate on that was like, I don't know, 10% or something, or 5%. What we did is we made it a mandatory part of the onboarding process to schedule that onboarding call as soon as they put in their information. So as soon as they sign up their name and email, it says, "Great, now we're going to schedule your onboarding call. Pick a time." Boom, pick the time. They got it in, and then they went into the tool. And even if they had no success with the tool at all, that part of the onboarding process, because it's a mandatory part of the process, customers just assume, well, they must know what they're doing. Like, they must know that I need to have an onboarding call. And that's all right. That's cool. But if it's like a secondary thing, like, here, check this out, or you might want to do that. People are like, well, no, I don't need that. So you make it part of that onboarding process. Having a video as part of the onboarding, like a mandatory video, and it has to be done well, right? It can't be like a crappy video where you're just talking about yourself. But, we have like scripts for that kind of stuff. But, hey, welcome to the tool. Let me show you real quick what you're going to be able to do. Now, to get started, you're going to do this, 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 and this. You can always come back to this video when you need help, or go to the bottom right for customer support. Get started here. 2 or 3 minutes. Good luck, and then you can move on into the product, right? But yeah, I think that is a really good way to get people indoctrinated by making the education more mandatory in the front end.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I signed up for Bench, which is an accounting software.
Yeah.
And they had this mandatory, I signed up for what I thought was free trial. I figured I could sign up, upload some data from my bank statements or something. And as soon as I signed up, they're like, "Great, schedule your call." And I got a call from a woman named Charlotte who was like, "Okay, I'm here to walk you through your free trial." And she asked me a bunch of questions. It was very clearly some sort of qualification process. And she said, "Okay, great. So to get you started, here's what I need. I need access to this or this. You can use me that bank statement. I'll upload it for you. It'll be ready in 48 hours. And then we were off and running. And then she said, "Great. Now once we get it up and running, then I want to be able to check back with you next week to make sure that you've been able to look at what we built." So then she immediately scheduled the follow-up call to review my free trial even before I got it started. So they had this path, and very clearly, I was like, I know what they're doing. It's going to help their conversion rates. And it's also going to vet out people who are actually like free trial, just like literally toe in the water, testing it out, versus people who are really looking for help with their accounting. Because if you're not willing to do that homework of like send them a bank statement or even hop on that first call, they know that the conversion rate, they can't get you to convert anyway. So they're better off not spending that time with you on a free trial.
Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting is that wasn't a sales call, right? That was somebody just showing you the tool.
Well, it wasn't direct. I didn't feel like I was getting sold to. I did know I was getting qualified, in the sense like she was asking me a little about the business, like how many employees do you have, what kind of revenue, how many transactions do you do per month, those sorts of things. And I'm sure those are all metrics that they know. Like, hey, as long as you're doing at least 100 accounting transactions a month, and you're doing at least X dollars in revenue, and there's nobody, you don't have a dedicated accounting person, it's like check. Boom, we got this guy. And so that was probably what they were doing, just to make sure it was a good fit. Because if I didn't meet those criteria and I went through the trial, and even if I did buy it, maybe I wasn't going to have a great experience, because it wasn't going to give me the leverage that they promise when they bring people into their customer. So,
another company that did that is Superhuman. Familiar with Superhuman email? Superhuman is an email platform. I think it's like $15 or $20 a month to pay to check your email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's supposedly like the best email experience that you've ever had in your life. And I've used the product. I actually really liked it. But you have to go through an application process and then get invited to the tool before there's no free trial. You fill application and here's the funny thing is I filled it out. I answered it truthfully. And then I got an email that says, "Sorry, you're not a good fit for Superhuman."
Yeah.
And then I created a new Gmail address, applied again, and lied on the questions. And then I got in, and I was like, sweet. Because I really wanted to go through their onboarding, and I ended up paying for like a year of their service, but because I really liked it. But that's another interesting, and I'm not suggesting you do that, but like, uh, they're the people that use Superhuman absolutely love it. They have a cult following because they've qualified people. They know, we call them perfect prospect qualifiers.
Mm-hmm.
They know that if you're not using a bunch of plugins, if you're checking your email every day, if you have multiple boxes, if you use Google Suite, then you're going to be a great fit and you're going to love it. If you have a bunch of plugins that you need to put into your email, you're going to hate Superhuman because it doesn't allow that. So if you have a bunch of plugins, they don't let you in. Simple as that. Now they'll probably change that eventually, but it's smart because anybody that uses Superhuman now loves it because they know they're a good fit. And it was a low touch onboarding. Like sure, they had to have someone review the survey, and they did have someone, like, in order for you to set up your account, you couldn't set up your account without hopping onto a one-on-one call with them. Mm-hmm. Like, they saved the link, you couldn't log in. Like, on the call is when you get your login and password, and they show you around the tool and make sure to have success with it. So anyways, that's just another kind of example, kind of based on what you were saying, of that customer, that ideal experience. What is the ideal experience for the customer? And will it change at some point? Possibly. But I just think it's fascinating that how they set that up, and the one that you talked about too.
Yeah. How much education did you have before you signed up for Superhuman? Like, going back to I mean, did you know a lot about this app even before you got there? Or was it like a random?
No, I didn't. I just heard about it from people.
Okay. So there's some viral weight to that.
I did not. I've never seen the tool itself. Actually, I think I looked up some video reviews of Superhuman and I saw some, but I heard some people raving about it, and that has a lot of weight, man. Like, if somebody you respect says, "Hey, you got to try out Superhuman,"
mm-hmm.
and I don't even really need to know what the tool is. If I trust really is raving about it, then I'm going to go in and get it. Like that.
Yeah, I just pulled it up on my browser just because I'm curious, because you just said it.
Yeah. So, and the reason that it's so viral is because they're vetting people getting into the product first. But their product is really unique. It's this guy, Rahul, I think he's either a Gmail, a developer, or something like that. They spent a lot of time building this product to make it really, really good. So it's a good product. So you're not going to be disappointed when you log in. It's not for everyone, but the people that it is for, they love it, and they talk about it with their friends. And they have this cool thing where you can you just press C when you log into Superhuman, R, and it pulls up an email. It's a referral email. It says, "Hey," and you put in the person that you want to refer to, and it sends them a referral, moves them to the top of the list so they get a demo with the Superhuman, right? So they have like that. You remember Gmail kind of had that too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
it was invite only. They're using the same mm-hmm. thing because it worked really well for Gmail. That's another kind of way to vet your customers initially. So yeah.
Dude, this is awesome. I wish we could keep going. I want to be respectful of your time. I really, really appreciate you coming in and being a ninja on this stuff, man.
Oh man, I love it.
Really good. So I mentioned at the top of the conversation about your group, the SaaS Growth Hacks. Maybe just tell people where, if that's the best place for people to go to check you out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You tell the people that are listening, if they want to learn more about you and your work, where should they go?
Yeah, Facebook. My SaaS Growth Hacks group is one of the. I think it's the leading group of SaaS founders.
20,000 members in this thing, and I'm
20,000 members.
And I'm seeing like this group is active. They're asking intelligent questions, helping each other out. Yeah, I try to jump in whenever I can if there's something relevant based on my experience. It truly is a community, which is really cool. Like, you do very little. You do your Facebook Lives there and you share stuff, but it's not like I'm seeing Aaron on every thread, man. It's just like people in the group are sharing with each other.
It's really good. I'll do my internal, external reality. We have a really strict group of admins, and they go through each post. And if there's the 3-strike rule, we have like a 1-strike rule. If you break one rule, you're out. We block people. We have a very high vetting process. When you log in, you have to answer the questions. If you don't answer the questions, you're not let in. You get banned easily for being spammy. So we keep the group really quality. And if you just go into the group and type in any keyword of anything that you're struggling with, investors, onboarding, you'll come up with hundreds of posts of people's advice that are actually like what they're actually doing, because they're such a good community that the people will share what's working for them and not working for them. You can get like a masterclass in SaaS growth just from going to the group. So just go to SaaS Growth Hacks on Facebook. You'll see my mug on there. You'll know it's the right group. Just make sure to answer the questions, and then we'll let you in. And then in the group, there's tons of great stuff. The first video when you log into the group is going to be me introducing the group with some free resources. So check that out. And then I would love to have you join. We're always looking for new, fresh members. So
that's cool, man. Awesome, dude. Thank you so much for your time. It's good to see you. Like I said, man, it's been too long. I think the last time I saw you was we were in LA and we had lunch over ramen.
Yep, I'll never forget that. That was a lot of fun.
We'll have to do that more often. Yeah, for sure. Cool, Aaron. But listen, man,
awesome.
Thanks for the time. We'll get the show posted. We'll share it out with you so you can share it with your tribe, and we'll get links to the SaaS Growth Hacks website, Facebook group as well. So make it easy for people to find. And dude, we'll have to do it again soon. There's lots of topics we need to get to, but do it again.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. Thanks, Scott.
Right,
it was a pleasure.
All right, man.
Okay. See ya.